What's going on, guys? Welcome back to day 17 of the TryHackMe Cyber Advent 2024. Yesterday we learned all about Azure and how to navigate it using the Cloud Shell. Today we're going back to doing some more blue team stuff, doing some log analysis within Splunk. Today's learning objectives are going to be extracting custom fields in Splunk, creating a parser for custom logs, and then we're going to filter and narrow down search results using the SPL, search processing language that Splunk has. And then we're going to actually be investigating in Splunk some logs. So some log analyzation today, super important if you're on blue team. But without further ado, let's kind of read this story. And make sure you start up your machine while we're doing this if you haven't already, so that that can be ready to go once we get into the hands-on stuff. Today, all we need to be accessing is just the machine for this room. So let's read the background story. I'm going to move this over a bit. Martha Mayware is going crazy. Someone has disconnected the main server from the Wareville network, and nobody knows who it was. As soon as she realized it, she contacted Wareville's top physical security company, WareSec and Aware, to let her view the data center's CCTV streams. They forbade it entirely for privacy reasons. Only the camera owner can view the recordings. Not even the Wareville Sec and Aware employees themselves are allowed to do so. Still, they said there was no recording of anybody entering the data center yesterday. How could that be? Wondered Martha Mayware. Just desperate for answers, their first supposition was that the owner of the cameras must have deleted the recordings from their managing webpage. But the data center's camera owner surely can't be the perpetrator. It is no other than Byte, Glitch's dog. Glitch insisted with Martha to leave the ownership of the cameras to Byte precisely to avoid these kinds of happenings. Byte, the ultimate good boy, combines loyalty and sharp instincts to keep any place safe. So Martha calls Glitch and McSkitty right away, explaining the situation in between the sobs. Glitch's eyes darken. Someone is trying to frame Byte, and he will not let anybody vex his beautiful dog. McSkitty is perplexed. Why are the people at WareSec and Aware supposing that Byte had deleted the recordings? Shouldn't they have some logs to prove such an accusation? Martha May has the answer. They do have some log files that they back up every 6 hours, give or take, but they can't search through it. Or rather, they tried, but when they go and search for some keyword like the data center's cameras ID or the action delete, this is what they get. Send the log file to the SOC team armed with a SIM. No log is unsearchable. Boom. So let me go ahead and see. So let me go ahead and go to this link. There we go. We're loading up. We're going to go to search and reporting, and then we're going to do index equals star. So once it's loaded up, we're going to go to search and reporting, and then we're going to just type index in the search bar here. We're going to type index equals wildcard and hit enter. And we have to fix the time frame as well. So I'll just do all time, and then we will get about 10,741 results. And then they show us some source types here that we're going to be looking at. So web logs, CCTV logs. They tell you what they contain. So we're going to be looking at the CCTV logs. We can do that one of two ways. We can either come here and type source type equals CCTV logs, or we can just come down here and just click that. So those are the two ways you can do it. So I'm gonna go over here, hit enter, and boom, we have 3,000 results now. So let's kind of look through some of these. Okay, yeah, so you can see here the event type. So you can do there's downloading, watch, login successful, log out. Byte is the owner, is the dog. Then we have Marta over here. So we have glitch. Cool. So let's go ahead and go back over here. So after examining the logs, we can figure out the following main issues. Logs are not parsed properly by Splunk. Splunk does not consider the actual timeline of the event. Instead, it uses only the ingestion time. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go create a parser specifically for these logs. And how we do that is we click on extract new fields, and we're going to select the sample event. So we go here, then we're going to select this one. We're going to hit, oh, it's over here. We're going to hit next. We're going to do regular expression. And then they're going to give us over here. So yeah, regular expression. And then we're going to start typing what we want the fields to be called. So here it is. So this first one is going to be, it's going to be timestamp, add. This one's going to be event type. They just call it event. So we'll rename. We'll just follow them. Event. User ID. Username. And then session ID. Boom. So you can come down here now and look. So what we've done is we've basically associated each part of this log to a specific field name. And so we're essentially creating a way for this to parse the logs in the way that we want to. So this is super helpful because now when we look at the logs parsed out, it's going to give us all the information we want up front, and it's going to be a lot easier to ingest and read through. So let's make sure we're good. There's that. And then we're going to hit the next button, and then we're going to validate. So we'll hit next. And you can see here some of them fail. And that's okay for now. We're going to fix that in a little bit. So we're just going to hit next. We're going to hit finish. And we're going to explore the fields I just created in search. So it'll create a custom query for us. We're going to change the time frame to all time. And boom, we're here. And we can see our fields right here. So user ID is right here. Event is right here. Index, line account, that, session IDs, Splunk server, user IDs. So Byte has the most, obviously. And usernames. So yeah, we got it all parsed out here. It's working. Boom, yeah, we can see the usernames. We see here, we can see malware. It's one of them. So that's an interesting one. So it appears some fields have not been parsed exactly as we expected. Yeah, we saw that with the X's when we were validating and doing all that stuff. So we're going to improve the field extraction. So yeah, some of the logs are just different, and that's why it didn't work across the board. So we're going to go to settings, fields, CCTV, and there we go. We're going to delete this first one, and then we're going to do open field extractor. Source type is, yeah, it's fine, and we're going to do CCTV logs. Time lane's fine, and then we're going to, we want to do all time, so I'll change that in a sec. this is the regex we're going to use. So we'll change this to all time. We're going to do I prefer to write it myself instead of choosing one. And we'll paste that in. Hit save. We will finish and explore the field I just created in search. Then we got to change this to all time. And there we go. So session ID is now fixed. Remember we had 36 in there and now we have only 10. So we are back on track. So we're going to use this in the query now. So what we want to see is how many times a username was found in the search query. That's essentially what this is asking us. Whoops. Thought I copied it. Boom, search that. Boom, so you can see here, Byte has the most. Then we got freeware, we got glitch, hardware, Marta, and malware, and software. So you could put it in a pie chart if we wanted to, just so it looks nicer. We can also do it by event. We can also do it by rare event. So we'll try that. So yeah, we can see there's only 2 instances of delete recording, which is exactly what we're looking for. We want to see a little bit more about that event, who did it, what time. Oh, we want to see who did it, what time, all that juicy information we need for this investigation. So what we can do, looks like we have a few attempts to delete the recording and a few failed login attempts. This means we have a clue. Let's examine the failed login attempts first. So what we're going to do is we can just click here and we can do that, and it should add it to, yeah, it should give us the logs. We've got 16. Let's see what users. So it looks like glitch, Marta, and Byte were the login fails. So we'll just do it their way. So what we're going to do is we'll just come back here, paste this in, do that. And what they basically did was just filter down the events by failed logins. And then they displayed only username, the event, and the session ID, right? So that's exactly what we see here. Oh, and the time as well. So that's exactly what we see here. We made a table to show these specific fields that we want to look at. We can see here, Byte has login failed, Marta, and glitch. However, they're all the same session ID, which is pretty suspicious. They should be different session IDs because they're different users. So this is pretty suspicious right away. They have the same session ID. So we found some failed login attempts against 4 users, but one thing remains constant, the session ID, which I just said. So now we're going to narrow it down by the session ID and see what other events are out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to just come here, copy that, and instead of failed, we're just going to put the session ID in there and hit enter. Alright, boom. So we got some logouts, we got some watch cameras, we got okay, delete recording. So that's what we're looking for. We got some downloads, and then we got the login fails again. So looks like we got a bunch of login fails, and then he actually was successfully able to log in as Byte. Then he watched the camera, he downloaded, watched, deleted a recording, did 3 more watches, downloaded another one, deleted, etc. And by the way, copy this down and put it into your notes. It is the answer to the second question for the room today. Just go ahead and note that down, and we can input it later on. So now we want to see how many are related to just the deletion. There's only 2, we know this, but we'll just do this. Yep, and we only have 2. Session ID is consistent. It was by byte, but not really the real byte. It was the imposter. This byte's a dog. Yeah, and that's what we see here. So we want to correlate with the web logs. So we have some comprehensive information about the attacker. So now we're going to look at the web logs with that session ID, see if we can get some more information. So I'm going to come here, copy that again. No, I don't want to copy the link. Fine, I'll copy the link. So we're going to change this to web logs, and then we put the, not that, copy that, and then put it in there, and boom, hit enter. 41 events. So you can see the web requests here. Here we go. Get delete recording is what we want to look at. So it came from a Mac. Cool. So yeah, we can see we get an IP. So let's narrow down the search to show results associated with the IP address found earlier. It is important to note that in this case, the details about the session IDs are found in the field status. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this query here. I'll break it down for you guys in a sec. So we're indexing the web logs. We are specifying the client IP that we can see by going here. It is right there. It is the one associated to the session ID in question. And then we're putting it in another table format by time, client IP, status, the URI they accessed, and the UR path, and then the file. So let's go ahead and search that. We got some different URIs. Here we go, delete recording is there, and then another one is here. So looking closely, we can see logout events when the session ID was changed. Can we correlate these session IDs in the CCTV logs and see if we can find any evidence? So we want to take this session ID. So if you remember, we just start it here. And we do got to change the log we're looking at. All right, 240 events. Okay, and yep, MM malware. So there's only one username associated, which is MM or M malware. So now we're pretty confident that Mayor Malware was the one that went in and logged into Byte's account, deleted the recordings, and then went about his business. So we were able to locate the username associated with this attack. Now that we have verified and identified the user, let's summarize our investigation. So essentially what we've done is we've utilized Splunk. We've did some queries. We figured out how to query in Splunk and how to kind of create our own parsing so that we can fix the parsing of the log files so we can get the fields that we actually want to analyze. And what we discovered is an attacker brute forced the accounts. You can see when we were looking at the initial ones. So this is the query they used before. So we can see here he logged in as glitched first, failed, couldn't get in. He's tried doing Marto, that failed as well. Then he did Byte for a while, and he did actually end up getting into Byte. So we changed that to success. We can see here that he logged in successfully. There was a successful login after the failed attempts, which is indicative of brute force. When you see a lot of failed logins and then a successful login, that is one of the indicators of brute force. Although you do have to be careful because sometimes people forget their passwords, they input it wrong a bunch of times and then they do login. So you just got to verify that. But most of the time, if you see a bunch of failed logins within a very short or inhumane amount of time, so like for example, if there's 4 failed logins within 1 second, like that's impossible for a human to do, right? So that can be more of an indicator for brute force rather than user error. Then attacker watched some of the camera streams, which we saw with the watch camera event type. Multiple streams were downloaded, so we did download all the streams before deleting them, which was we saw in the logs. And then we followed by the deletion of the CCTV footage via the session ID, and then the web logs had IP address associated with the attacker's session ID. So we found the IP that was logging into the session ID that used Byte to delete the recordings, and then we found out another session ID based on that, the web logs. We cross-referenced that with the CCTV logs, and we found that it was associated to malware in the end, therefore concluding our investigation and showing us malware was the one that went in there and deleted all the recordings. Time to answer the questions. The first question is extract all events from the CCTV feed logs. How many logs were captured and associated with successful login? So we can come here and see that by doing this query. So instead of failed here, you would query the CCTV feed. You would specify the event type as success, or this is really just saying if success exists in the log. And then we're putting it out in a table. You don't really have to do that. You can just remove that and just do these two, and you still get the same number, but the number here is 642. And then remember, I told you guys to get the session ID that we discovered was consistent across all the failed logins, which was this one. And then what was the name of the attacker found in the logs who deleted the CCTV footage? It's going to be malware. So guys, that's pretty much it for day 17. Really cool day. I believe analyzing logs super important, especially if you're a SOC analyst. Even if you're not, it's still important to understand how to do that and how to execute analyzation of logs, because they're going to help you not only in incident response, but also like troubleshooting and a bunch of different stuff. It's just helpful to understand how to query logs efficiently and effectively to get the information you need to be able to do your job, essentially, whether that be incident response or troubleshooting, whatever it is. It's just important. But I appreciate you guys watching this whole video through. If you made it all the way through, drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and share it with a friend or two that you think would get some value out of this video. I'll see you guys for day 18. This is Cyber Sensei Aaron, out.